And we're live.
The U.S. has launched a missile strike on a Syrian military airfield where the gas attack is believed to have originated. I guess they fired Tomahawk cruise missiles from a couple of boats, and yeah.
Huh.
Well, that's fucking great.
Good.
I'm sure this will lead. I'm sure this won't escalate out of control.
Kyle, name 5 other times it has.
Vietnam.
Vietnam, go back 3 years. We fucking.
Well, Vietnam was a
again?
proxy war with the
Again?
Russians, and this could be
Yeah.
a proxy war with the Russians.
Yeah,
So
They're all proxy wars with the Russians.
Because of Russia, because of the Russian involvement with Syria, it's going to be a complex situation that I'm.
What's gonna happen?
entirely-
What if there was a Russian advisor at that fucking plant? We just fucking blew him up.
let me lay it out there, and someone tell me if I'm doing it incompletely or incorrectly. So one of the fears with Syria is like both people, ISIS is in Syria, and both Russia and America dislike ISIS. The thing is, America would rather have some, currently small or unknown player, I don't know who, emerge as the victor in this thing. And Russia would rather have, I think his name is Assad, emerge as the leader. And he's currently the government leader in Syria, but the government doesn't control everything because they're battling with ISIS. So if the U.S. goes in there and tries to install some like democratic government that's new, then that is against what Russia would like to happen, which is to take Assad and make his power unquestioned. And that's how you get a proxy war.
Yeah, and then you've also got, it's not just ISIS that Russia and us and the Iranians who are also there and have in large numbers are fighting. There's also like a lot of militia groups who may or may not owe their allegiance to either ISIS or the United States or Iran or fucking Pakistan or who knows where, who are also fighting for an independent state away from Assad. It's not that they're terrorists or they're ISIS or they're this or that. They just don't like fucking Bashir al-Assad. And they want him
Who
out.
doesn't
They want
like
him ousted.
Bashir al-Assad? Iran?
He's
Iran-
saying smaller
boots on the
militia
Iran
ground.
is. Iran and Russia are the biggest supporter of Assad at the moment.
Yes, I
Iran
know.
are the ones that are funding him. Yeah. Which
Yes,
is
I know.
actually a
But
problem.
this-
Do you guys think that Trump could actually deal with such a complex situation?
No.
Because,
No.
I mean, it's going to
No,
be a
not
shit show.
sophisticated.
No, definitely not.
I
No, it
believe
doesn't have
Trump
to do
has a
with-
hard time with Thanksgiving.
I don't think Trump understands the
Tweeting about
situation
it.
at all. What Trump heard was that there were children who got gas, and he was like, well, "That's bad. I don't like that."
Yeah, he
We're
read
gonna-
an
if we
article
could bring-
about it.
If we could bring
What can I
George,
do?
if we could bring George Washington back or your favorite president to handle this, they wouldn't be able to solve it. Like they would hopefully look at it and be
course
like,
not. They
"Yeah,
never
we're
saw a
not
cell
going to be able
phone."
to do that." Well, they would
don't know
have
what an
so
iPhone is.
many hurdles to overcome first, from indoor plumbing to cell phones to touch
What's that Negro doing in the room? Like,
Mr. President, I know wooden teeth were popular then.
shut up, you whore! Get this woman out of the office. It would go terribly.
No, that's still how
Like,
Trump does it.
That would go very poorly, as they like misunderstood how many people were like watching their speeches, where they're like, "Wow, DC really has grown since I've been here last." It's like, no, this is just people here right now. There's more people than you knew existed in this country. Like,
Yeah, but
didn't
That
know
would make a
we were
great
gonna have-
movie, like a previous president coming into the future and becoming the president right now at the moment.
the
That would
Trump,
be
Like, fun.
I'd watch
that would
it.
be hilarious.
I worry
the way
about
you
Trump
do
in a couple
it's
ways.
such an easy way to do it, make it cool. You have your current president in like some unfathomable, difficult situation, some real tight spot, and however, they're like, "Sir, we have a interdimensional portal," and he's like, "Well, you think we could get Kennedy in here to like weigh in on this?" And then they start doing that. Maybe he starts bringing he gets like all the presidents in there, and then Nixon he like
Haru.
fucking.
Well, I mean,
says
South
one
Park
guy-
did that a bit last season. Did you guys watch South Park last season?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. They did that a bit with the whole Trump thing, and yeah, that was funny. I'm excited for the new season. Hopefully.
Oh
So
yeah.
Trump,
The-
my issue with Trump on matters like this is he doesn't seem to be like intellectually curious or whatever enough to get schooled on a situation, right? Most presidents, whether it be W or Clinton or Obama or whatever, would come up to speed. Trump just seems to be like, you handle that, report back to me. So the real question is like, hey, do you like the way Mathis would handle this? Mad Dog. Do you like the way that, whoever would handle this? And because I think Trump is likely to just sort of listen to him accept either like, any conclusion he comes to and go with it. And
if we look at what he did, maybe we could figure out where he got the idea to do it. He didn't send warplanes, right? That puts us in danger. Al-Assad has anti-air. He's got some pretty sophisticated systems that he got from his Russian friends. We can't really be just flying planes over and dropping bombs, even our stealth shit necessary. $2 billion airplane. But so they shot these Tomahawk cruise missiles, which are extremely long range. If you remember, every other war we've ever fucking fought where we just launch those bitches off like, how like Roman candles go.
Yep.
That's how we shoot those $3 million Tomahawks.
30 million. Yeah.
He definitely didn't want to risk a U.S. pilot being shot down, an international incident. So they went with those long-range missiles. So that is a good sign. But the next thing we'll be hearing is advisors on the ground, and then it'll be money and materiel, and then some advisors will get hurt, or a school will blow up, or some person from some group that we care about more than the average Syrian, apparently, like a child, will be gassed, as if it matters if you're gassed or blown the fuck up or burnt alive, which is how they normally get shit done over there.
Speaking of that gas thing, was Assad, or we still don't know who did it?
So the U.S. military is saying that a Syrian warplane did that. That's what our military is saying, our military intelligence.
It's Assad. Who else
Assad claims that there was an Al-Qaeda chemical weapons plant that was hit by an American munition, and it blew up and caused all that damage.
That's a very convenient excuse.
Yeah,
he got greedy with that excuse.
You're right. He got Al-Qaeda and America with that one.
That was too much. He should have been like, when he was like planning it out, his lie and being like, oh, I'll say that it was an American shell. He has too many yes men, guaranteed, because anyone who wasn't a yes man would have been like, are you high? No, nobody's going to believe that it's that perfect for you. Like, just say that, like, one of your soldiers did something crazy. Like, give a little so that this lie is believable. No,
right.
Off with his head.
I don't know, maybe it was this, because what did we have just last week? We had a scenario where apparently a lot of civilians were herded into a building, and then there was a U.S. strike, and all the people died. It seemed that someone was trying to frame the United States for some mass murder, some collateral damage incident. And here this week now, we've got a gas attack. And well, this is kind of like what happened last time. It was the U.S. They dropped a bomb and hit an Al-Qaeda chemical weapons. My point is, like, we don't know what fucking happened. We just don't. We could be being lied to and manipulated, and it could be a big. We could all be getting trumped right now. Maybe there were no chemical. Maybe we dropped.
Maybe
some
we're getting
gas.
Gulf of Tonkin.
Yeah, maybe we're getting Gulf of Tonkin here, or Lusitania.
What's the Gulf of Tonkin for people that don't know?
That's the manufactured incident that sparked off the escalation in Vietnam, where that happened off the Gulf of Tonkin, where supposedly that warship was attacked and people, but they just weren't. We just manufactured a little
incident. That blows my mind. It blows my mind that they literally just pretended a U.S. warship was attacked and started a war over it. And I don't know why, because it's not that much different than W, who said there were widespread weapons of mass destruction when there was no proof. And I know there's no proof because there were no weapons, so that's how that goes. And there's a lot of big wars where U.S. leaders just totally fake their reasoning.
It makes you wonder, that's the one we found out about, Mm-hmm. There's so much shit from way back in the day that time has just passed, where it's never going to get uncovered. It's never going to be revealed. There's so much stuff like that.
I do, but I don't know.
The whole
I don't know the
premise,
connection.
The reason the princess gets kidnapped at the beginning is because Finnick is going to frame another country for her kidnapping and murder. He is doing a false flag for Prince Humperdinck. False flags are
There's another example. We've got the Gulf War, Vietnam, and Princess Bride. We need two more.
You've got so many movies on your once a month regimen.
I watch
you always stay up on.
Marriage.
I don't know. It makes me nervous.
Together today.
I'm nervous to have Trump in charge on this. It could get very complicated, and it requires a sophisticated person to understand all the players. Yeah. And we don't. He
doesn't seem to have any understanding of the Syria situation at all.
It's a three-dimensional situation. He is going to play one-dimensional warfare against it.
He'll play checkers.
Bet it.
You just have to hope that he listens to the more knowledgeable people around him and not his gut.
They say that his attention span is low, that he has a hard time absorbing the documents, that when they brief him before a call, if you're about to talk to like whoever the fuck from Australia or Japan or whatever, they say, all right, Mr. President, we've got these documents here for you. And then there's a guy that's going to brief you. He's going to, just like if any of us were about to like before we started with Ahmed here, we had a little conversation about Ahmed. And I was like, well, this is what he's done. This is where he's been. This is what we'll talk to him about. These are key things that we should hit on.
I wish
someone
that
does
he would
Trump for each of these world leaders, but he's just like, hit the high points.
I wish that whenever he was doing his press conferences, he would stand like 10 feet back from the podium like he was a Pokemon trainer, and he'd have his entire staff there with him, and they'd be like, Mr. President, the current economic situation, it's incredibly complex. What are you going to do to get our jobs back up? He's going to be like, I made economics, not my strong suit. Rick Perry, I choose you. Defend it. And then Rick Perry has to go out there and defend it, or whoever he would pick for that. And he'd be like, no, military situations, you have no experience with this. What are you going to do in Syria? Rick Perry, return. General Mathis, I choose you. He throws him out there. General Mathis, use bamboozle. Get him off my ass. And he tells him what to do. Like, that's what he should do. Like, he shouldn't be given any, like, he needs to tamp it down on how he responds to things.
This motherfucker is talking
doesn't seem to understand Syria, at least Syria, at all. He doesn't.
He's hanging out with the president of China right now down in Mar-a-Lago.
Is it right now? Is that happening?
Yeah, right now.
With
they got a
Xi
Chinese
Jinping.
guy. Yeah, thank you.
XI, however you pronounce that.
Xi. He landed a couple hours ago. I watched him, step off. His plane's big. Xi's got a big fucking plane. It says Air China on the side. It certainly doesn't say fucking Xi-Pen or anything. It doesn't say like president. It's not pimped out like ours are. Like the president shows up in his fucking plane, right? Like, but. Especially ours might just show up in his fucking plane,
right.
That's how it works. And it is interesting if you think about it. He's brought the president of China over, not to Washington, not to the White House, which is a more prestigious thing, right? It's a level up if you get to go to the White House and you get to fucking go in there and shake hands and do all the ceremonial shit. No, he took him to Mar-a-Lago. He's like, this is where I hang out. It's my place. Golf to the Chinese is a little it's seen a little differently than it is to us Western non-communists, shall I say. They see it as a billionaire sport. They see it as something that they don't want to be attached to. Xi Jinping has never played any fucking golf. He never has, never will. I guarantee it. If Chinese media had a photo of his ass chubbily crawling up a hill somewhere, like that'd be the end of him. He's not getting another 5-year term. Like that would be a
funny picture.
Have you seen those pictures of Trump chubbily?
It's because he gains weight in a hippie way.
So coming off all that, do you guys think Trump will be impeached? Do you think that's a possibility?
No,
it's a possibility. I think it will happen. Let me. So impeachment is just when they start the proceedings. That's like saying, do you think Trump will be sued? The real question is, do you think he'll be sued and found wanting and be thrown from his office? I don't think that is going to happen.
I don't think so.
Impeachment proceedings are much more possible than him actually being thrown from office, but I don't think any of it will happen. But yes, it is a possibility.
So what Trump has going in his favor is that Republicans would be the people doing this, thing, right?
Seems fair.
Well, yeah, when Clinton got impeached, there were Republicans, Newt Gingrich in particular, I think, was running the show.
Star.
Yeah, he hired Ganistar and they just pursued him forever. That started off as like a real estate trust thing, and it ended up with him getting a blowjob. Like they just went anywhere they could find shit on Clinton, and that's where it landed. But the Republicans aren't going to do that to Trump. Like Nunes just recused himself because he was dealing with all these ethics violations where he would take this somewhat private information or whatever and show Trump like privately, like, hey, this is where the investigation is going. You're gonna say it came from the White House?
Yeah, that's the weird thing about that, right? I'd love for you to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd like to learn more about this because it's so fucking fishy. But it seems that the White House taps Nunes on the shoulder and says, hey, come here, we want to show you some stuff. And they take him in that skiff, which is apparently a secure room where any kind of surveillance is impossible. Like, I guess it's just electromagnetically isolated, and like they can't be spied on. It's like the on that show Get Smart, the old black and white show, they used to have like the cone of silence or something, and both people would put their heads in this thing, and they couldn't hear each other. Everybody else could hear, and they couldn't hear each other. They're trying to pass top secret information. But anyway, they put him in this skiff. They showed him something, right? They showed him this information about Trump's name being unmasked or some horse shit, and then they send him back with that information, and he goes, I have some information. I'm going to go tell the White House. They need to know about this. And then he like fake comes back and tells them about something they just told him about. And now we're trying to decide which other members of that committee get to see that information. And people are being bussed in and out. And then the White House says, oh, yeah, he's hearing the same information that Nunez heard. But they're like, well, how could you possibly know that? And they're like, we just know. It's a bunch. There's so much smoke. There's so much bullshit. There's so much he said, she said. No, because
that's not the way I understand.
Makes sense.
But here's one thing that bugs me, though. So typically in law, if you ask someone to recuse themselves, they do. You know, like they've got no stake in this, right? If Taylor's a judge and I say, hey, look, I think that you know the defendant over there, you should recuse yourself. 9 times out of 10, he says, fine, I'm out, right? I don't want to give any appearance. Nunez, they asked him to recuse himself because he was appearing to be on the team of Trump. It's like he worked for Trump instead of investigating him, and he just fought for weeks, scratching tooth and nail. No, I won't stop. I won't stop. Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, everyone thinks you're working for this guy. It looks sketchy as fuck, and they're asking you to recuse yourself.
I mean, they don't always recuse themselves. Like a lot of the times, they don't.
They usually don't fight against it if there's anything.
I mean,
there.
Loretta Lynch didn't recuse herself during the Hillary Clinton investigation. I'm just saying that like it's common for these people, if they feel like they have something to gain by not recusing themselves, they'll try not to.
Judges.
Yeah,
that's what you have to keep in mind too. He's not a judge; he's a politician. The judge, of course, would be like,
"That's
yeah,
true.
I'm done." The politician is like, "You don't think I'm capable? How is this going to look on my record if next year when they roll the commercial, he was taken off the committee to?"
Well, no, Loretta Lynch isn't a politician; she's a judge.
Oh, yeah,
I think she was the attorney general.
Well, I'm talking about Nunez, whatever.
Yeah, maybe that was sketchy too. I don't know, but yeah, it was weird to me that Nunez worked so hard not to recuse himself when there was all this evidence and people were calling for it. And it wasn't until the lawsuit started rolling in that he was like, "Fuck it, I'm out."
The whole fucking thing is annoying to me because I feel like half the time they're just like, it's just lip service and lies and misdirection and muddy the waters and, oh, look over here, here's a thing, and oh, well, let's investigate all this horse shit that will never lead us anywhere, and it's clear just on face value it won't. It's real frustrating to watch the whole thing go down, and nobody is making themselves look good, right or left.
No,
Democrats
really. Everybody.
No fucking leader. Democrats are leaderless.
Yeah, the Democrats filibustering Gorsuch was
I love
so
that
dumb.
move.
That was why. Why would you love that?
I'll explain. Because I feel like the Republicans have already proven that they're willing to do anything to advance their cause or stop your cause from advancing, right?
The reason they were able to go nuclear is because of Harry Reid in 2013. It's the Democrats who did that.
Yeah, so back in 2013, if you guys remember the Do Nothing Congress, et cetera, what was happening is anything Obama liked, the Republicans disliked. Like they could not find any common ground. And I think it's generally accepted that like even things that they should have been able to agree on or find something, the Republicans were just making it kind of their platform to be anti-Obama. And so that to me says, all right, these Republicans will do anything. Scalia died, and I had it wrong before. He died 11 months. Obama had 11 months left as president, and they just wouldn't even hold a vote, right? So to me, I'm like, all right, the Republicans have established that they will use whatever tools they have in their toolbox to advance what they're trying to do. And now the Democrats...
It's not just Republicans, though. It's both sides that will do that because the Democrats are the ones who put that into place and allowed them to use this nuclear option. The Democrats are using the best thing they can right now in the filibuster. Both parties are always going to use, to the nth degree, whatever they can to get what they want.
Let me circle back to that.
Yeah.
So in my head, what all this Democratic filibuster thing does is force the Republicans to use this tool in the toolbox. So now it's in play. Like that to me is what the end game here is, that, like, look, we're not going to give you this without using this tool, so that if we ever get in charge, then we'll have that tool too.
Yeah.
We won't be doing the unprecedented thing. It doesn't make sense
why they would do that, because they were the ones who implemented that tool. And so, of course, when you implement a tool, you expect to use it. And so it seems silly to me that they'd be like, hey, this tool we implemented? Well, we know it's so horrible that we're going to force them to do it. by
Well,
doing
yeah,
this
yeah,
filibuster.
because-
Where it's
well,
like,
they-
okay, so you
they
actually
didn't
implemented
use
a
it for
tool that
Supreme
you
Court
see as super
nominations,
terrible,
right? They were
unless
using it
it's on your side.
for lesser things. Supreme Court nominations is a pretty big deal, right? Last many presidents, what, 4? I don't know. So
that's wild.
yeah, so they're like, hey, they're making the Republicans establish a precedent where you don't have to have a supermajority to get your guy. You can just barely scrape by. And in my head, it's a smart move because in either scenario, if they vote for Gorsuch, if they don't vote for Gorsuch, you're getting Gorsuch.
It's not
so
a
you
good
might
move
as
though
well
because
make him
now
use
they
the
can't.
play.
My understanding is they can't filibuster the next nominee
Right.
if need be.
Well,
so basically,
they couldn't filibuster
they're-
this one either.
So they kind of spent it on Gorsuch, I see, like a magic card play where they went, aha! They played their instant, and it was an ill-timed instant. They should have kept that in hand and waited. Because, I mean, Gorsuch already, when he was appointed to the 10th Circuit Court or whatever, Obama, Hillary, all the Democrats voted to approve him in because he's really not very controversial. He's just not. And
Yeah, the only
it just
controversy
seems
is the
silly
fact
to
that he's
spend it
not
on
Merrick
him.
Garland. So, that if you're a Democrat, that's how you see this. The only controversy is this guy's up for this guy's up for a vote because the Republicans played dirty last time. And they're just saying...
it's not, but that you keep going back to that.
Yeah.
If the Democrats had the run of it and they had the ability to stop the Republicans from putting in a Supreme Court justice, that's the responsibility. They need to use all the tools legally that they have to keep that from happening. Exactly the opposite way, the Republicans had a responsibility there to be like, all right, we have no obligation to do this, and our constituents would be fucking livid with us if we did. So no, we're not doing it. We're representing what our people would want. So it's not like there's just all anti-Bush, or they're all anti-Trump, or they're all anti-Obama, and they're just trying to be obstructive. Like, yeah, they are, but that's, in a way, that's kind of their job. Like they're not supposed to just bend over backwards. And so I guess in that way, it makes a little bit of sense for the filibuster because the Democrats need to show at least like, hey, we're not rolling over. We're at least doing what we can. So I understand it from that point of view, but it's not like it's not a malicious like fuck you. We're not passing it. It's like that my people would hate me if I did that, and I'm protecting my job.
But
if that makes sense.
See, I feel like there's this. Oh, they're both playing the same game. They both do the same things, but it's not like this. This do nothing Congress became a thing because the Republicans stopped all legislation on a level that didn't happen when Bush was president. Right? They broke new ground and just opposed.
How's it
everything.
happening
now? I would say that in my
Absolutely
head, and I try
no.
not to look at it, through just Democrat lenses. I flip it around, but I would say the Democrats are doing everything they could because that's now the precedent. Like the Republicans did this, so now the Republicans are doing. They're slowing down every cabinet appointment they can. They're doing exactly what the Republicans did.
No,
when
I mean,
Obama
it
was
never
in charge.
It never took this long to get Obama's people approved for cabinet positions, if I remember correctly.
I've been hearing the opposite.
It never
Never
took
took even
anyone to get their
close.
cabinet
Not even close.
choices appealed.
So I don't
correct
like
me if I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. With the nuclear option thing that they've done, now they can get all of them through with a simple majority. Is that correct?
I think so. I think they could anyway. They just had to decide to use the nuclear option.
I know. I'm just making sure it applies for all of them. Now, one thing that I've heard thrown out there is that there's a reason why so many of Trump's selections for these positions haven't been filled. He doesn't care if they get filled or not, and they haven't put the correct paperwork in on purpose.
Yep. Yeah.
Because he feels that those. He's like, they don't need anybody fucking running that agency. Fuck that agency. That agency's nothing but a hole in the ground. Well, you're gonna hire a guy to run the hole in the ground that costs money? Nah, let's just wait.
And there's two lenses to view that. One is the one that you put out there, which is like, that thing is stupid anyway. Why do I need to appoint, I'm making up a number, 1,200 people when only 100 of them are doing all the work? Like, just, fuck it. Yeah. But other people are saying like, oh, this is what happens when you have, a non-Washington person. Like, he just doesn't have the knowledge of how Washington works to fill all those other jobs. Like,
this isn't applying to that, but as far as all the people I've talked to in government jobs, every single one of them will tell you that, like, I don't know about other countries, obviously, but they'll tell you 20% of the people in there are doing 100% of the work. And 80% of the people are futzing around because they know they won't get fired and they can get away with it.
That's
and
almost
so I don't
true
know,
in corporate world too, though, right?
Not necessarily. I'd say in corporate, it's more like probably almost reverse, like 75, 80%. And then those 20% who do nothing and add nothing eventually get axed because it's like, hey, we were looking at some numbers and you're a waste of space. Really, saying 75, 25, that's already egregious because a company that has 25% of its staff and, you know, they're working towards a profit and they're not contributing, like that wouldn't be a very long-standing company. So it'd be very much streamlined in that way. Yeah. But like, I don't know about like on the level of Trump. I was just talking to friends. And of course, the friends I talk to, I like to believe, are the ones doing all the work. And they are so fucking pissed about it where they're just like, God, I just watch people sit and do nothing all day because they know that they can do it. And they can treat people like shit and get away with it. Which obviously enrages people who want to work hard.
And in the army, oh my God.
There's lots of good government employees out there. I'm
sure. But so right now he wants to increase army spending. And I didn't realize, like, when someone transfers from a place to a place, right? They come home from Iraq, they like do nothing for 2 months, you know, or when they're about to go somewhere, like their responsibilities just wrap up and nothing happens for 2 months. And when they arrive, they spend it. I'm just like, oh my God, like in the corporate world, people do not have like, you know, if you just hypothetically transferred to fucking LA, I don't know, like there wouldn't be a 4-month no expectations out of Taylor period.
That is because you chose to move to LA for a new opportunity and you've got all your shit lined up. Instead, we're talking about Donald Trump saying, hey, Woody, get your shit together and go kill some Syrians. It's go time. You're like, fuck, can I have 2 months? And he's like, yeah, okay.
He's
in this
also
scenario,
like,
I'm saying
hey,
like he's going to headquarters or some other satellite office or, you know, same company. And yeah,
the military doesn't do that. They're going to like,
they do that all the time.
Scary.
No, they constantly move people from base to base.
But that warning and stuff, you know,
all those government agencies,
with
like that,
not everyone's at war.
Spend way more than they need to on transportation or goods or whatever, so that they can hit that bottom line to make sure they don't lose any funding the next year. Or it's like, oh, guess we better fire off fucking 60 more Hellstorm missiles for the fuck of it to make sure that they know that we need 6,000 of these a week.
I was watching a second ago. I guess they fired around 55 Tomahawks today. That's what they did.
Seems like a lot.
Seems
like too many, I'd say.
All the same air. So I think I said before, but they hit the airfield apparently that those chemical attacks originated from.
I just wonder, like, how many millions of dollars we spent to build craters, right?
Oh, so many. Probably a depressing amount of money.
I bet it's like $150 million attack, and a lot of it was against dirt.
Oh, it was absolutely at least $150 million attack. And then you got to keep in mind, like, we had those boats there for that attack. Do you even add in the amount of money that it costs to keep 2 big fucking boats in the Mediterranean with like 1,000 sailors on them, ready to push a button to shoot 50 missiles?
Think about it like the missile's the same thing as bullets almost. Like, what percent of bullets actually hit an enemy? Like a tenth of 1%?
Yeah, it's really interesting how that works. It's changed from war to war. I can't recite any statistics off the top of my head, but I've looked into it, and like Vietnam was really interesting. Like, and like as the wars go on and like different weaponry is introduced, the amount of bullets that are required to get a kill, and they start doing that math, and they change things like the rate of fire on rifles and magazine size. It's really interesting.
On
it takes
the bullets
a lot.
thing, yeah, it takes a lot, but a lot of it's just for suppressive fire. And
sure, yeah.
You watch. Not that you haven't, but I've been watching like real life combat footage and stuff, and I see, like I'm no military strategist, but it's like first we need to get, they call it something like firing supremacy. That's not, the supremacy part is right, the first one's wrong, and it's kind of like paintball, right? You're either the guy cowering or the guy shooting, right? I've done it in paintball. If you've got 8 guys firing ropes, the other people are pinned behind cardboard barriers thinking, oh my God, this is a bad situation, right? And they do that in real war too. Like as soon as I fire a bullet at some Americans, 12 of them just start raining lead on me so that I'm ducking behind rocks. And that's why it takes so many bullets. You know, a lot of it is just, it's not even aimed at a person. It's aimed at the area to get you to duck.
Yeah.
And anyway.
It's interesting.